Coming in, all of our floor is WarmlyYours radiant heating. And it's great. We just are barefoot all the time and nice room temperature. We installed it all around the kitchen. And we were also conscious about, making sure that our cabinets and everything were elevated so it didn't take away from concentrating heat underneath certain furniture. And this is our entryway to come into the yurt. We actually came out where our deck is. And we installed our thermostat here. Right now it's set for 67, which is a comfortable temperature for us. And yeah, this is sort of the motherboard of controlling our climate here in the yurt. So I want to talk a little bit about the install. We are now a year out of living in this awesome climate bubble, thanks to WarmlyYours. And it was definitely a process putting in the flooring. We built this entire yurt with, of course, the support of a lot of friends teaching us how to do infrastructure and other craftsman carpentry skills. But when it came to the floor, we really worked as a team with WarmlyYours. And I will say, out of all of the steps, the floor felt the most rewarding to see how fast it really came together. We knew when we came in here that we wanted to put the whole floor of the yurt, so 705 square feet of radiant floor heating. And we knew this was going to be tricky, thinking about the furniture and all of the other planning that goes into, what you want your home to look like. And for us, it's a small space, so we were trying to be really intentional about where things went and really maximizing maximizing our space. So when it came time to put the floor in, we had pretty much everything mapped out at that time. And so we put our dimensions into the WarmlyYours team, and they put together this awesome blueprint for us, as well as a diagram of where all the different sections of our floor, the mats would need to go to basically create this vision we have of an entire floor of radiant heating. So what that entailed was, it started from, the floor of plywood. That's what we built our platform of our yurt, because the yurt framing actually sits onto plywood. And once we had the plywood in, we took the next steps of, okay, we need to put primer on and kind of set this up, prep work for not only rolling the mats out, but pouring the concrete, which we did self-leveling concrete. And I'd highly recommend. It was our first time ever pouring concrete, but it was a very smooth process. So we put the primer down, let that dry, and that's when we took the next steps of rolling out the mats. And with those diagrams, they were really just our guide of showing us, each section of how to roll it out. And we used scissors and also just used the stickiness of the mats itself to help kind of anchor them down on the plywood / primer so that they would sit still. I will say, during that process, we had to use some ingenuity when it came to making the mats really level out and stay flat. So using the stickers in different ways to kind of weight it down was really essential. And then once we had that in place, that is when we started the pour, which, as you see in the photos, it was a really fast process, and we actually did it in sections. So I'll stand up for a second, show you. Basically, there's the bathroom area in there, but then that was its own room. And then we had it divvied out in this quadrant of the yurt as another pour. And so to do those pours, we actually got 2x2s and framed those sections out to sort of like encase it for each specific pour. And actually, I think it was even thinner than the 2x2, so that we could really, get the concrete to match up with each pour. And so yeah, that's when we started doing, loads in here. I would pour it in, it would start to cover the mats, and it definitely went through a lot of concrete, but as we did it, it made a nice finishing touch on top that we knew our mats were then protected. After we did the pouring with the concrete, we had to install our vinyl planking, our luxury board. And that was tricky because we had a lot of different visions. We went from, you know, we wanted to tile to we want a more hardwood floor look. And we really landed on that for durability. In our case, we are heavily recreationists, like to be outside, we have a dog, and we have really great reviews and recommendations from family and friends to use this vinyl luxury planking. So we went with a bamboo type floor, and that was really fast. I mean, as you can see, there's different segments of this, and we would just start, you know, throwing them down really quickly, planks all across the yurt. And the real trick was just, you know, cutting that round circle we loved so much. We did a lot of circles and it's filled, and just making sure that trimmed all the way around. And we worked on one side of the yurt and worked our way through. And I will also say we made sure that we made the cuts different sizes, so it was like not this continuous line. It kind of has that variation in color and pattern, which we really liked to make it look a little more random and natural. And now I'll let John talk a little bit about what we really enjoyed with radiant heating.
So my favorite thing about the WarmlyYours install is that I can throw down a yoga mat and do yoga anytime I want. And it's hot yoga, so the floor is warm, warms up the mat nicely, warms up the joints nicely. It's a pretty good lifestyle. Well, my other favorite thing about WarmlyYours, and one thing we realized pretty quickly after installing this, is we like to ski every day out here in the snow when there is snow. And we used to hang up our clothes, but actually the best and quickest way to dry everything out now is really just to lay it on the ground. And when you've been out in the wet and the cold and you've got all your gear, basically just arrange it on the floor and it dries out automatically. So the transition from skiing to relaxing is pretty quick.
And my favorite thing about WarmlyYours is getting to cuddle with our pup on the heated floor.